Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. What a beautiful start to the week, guys. Hope you guys had a great weekend, and it was a nice start to the markets here on a Monday here. So as you can see, Tesla chart is pulled up right away. 10% on the day off of some beautiful news here. One of our major contributors here on the day, as well as Amazon and Microsoft contributing heavily to our little rise in QQQ and bringing SPY up as well. But that wasn't all, guys. As you can see, we finally had a day where we had broad market participation from our secondary large sectors, financials, healthcare, and the Dow Jones value names, playing some good defense here by the bulls into an important week. Just a reminder here, we do have CPI here on Wednesday, going to be very crucial for the markets. But for now, bulls able to save the daily uptrends, putting in some decent work so far. Not out of the woods yet, guys. We were always looking to maintain these daily uptrends. It will remain to be seen, guys. Can we crack our previous highs with this week's data? Inflation is said to be coming in slightly hotter than last month, so the predictions are in, the expectations are set. But if it comes in even hotter than our expectations, we could be in trouble. So the expectations are for default higher, but it just depends. How much higher will we go here? So as you can see, guys, on the day, SPY 0.66% to the upside, QQQ 1.18%. Let's pull up the heat map here, and we'll get into our major technicals of our indexes, our major tech names, and lastly, portfolio, because I do have a few new trades in the portfolio today. So let's get into it, guys. Heat map here looking pretty good on the day here. Energy, which was our large winner over the past 2 weeks, having a slight pullback. But other than that, guys, fairly mixed market, but more leaning to the upside here. Moves led entirely by Meta, Amazon, Tesla, and Microsoft, creating all of these names, creating some very good space. If you remember last week's videos, I was not satisfied with how Meta and Microsoft were performing, right? So Apple obviously struggling with its downside news, 8% in 2 days off of the China government official news, but slightly recovering intraday. And our semiconductors fairly muted except for Qualcomm. So on the 1-day relative here, you guys will see that everything was in the green except for energy here. So some good broad market performance. I like to see that. So where do we stand here on our technicals, guys? Let's take a look. Well, we were always looking for the daily higher lows here. Now that we do have 2 green push days in a row, we can confidently say that our higher lows are set at the 443 level. This now becomes the line in the sand. Why? Because if we flush this, then it becomes a daily downtrend. But for now, bulls maintaining the daily uptrend here. I will need to see a crack of 453.70 here to really push us to higher highs, maintain this daily uptrend going here, and really start taking back here more of this weekly move. The weekly uptrend, I'll remind you, has never been lost. Never been lost. So we are still due for potential continuation here. The question was always, can we do it in 1 shot? Will we have to potentially do it in 2 shots? Or will the bulls roll over here, set the weekly downtrend into further monthly consolidation here? So this daily uptrend is going to be crucial to answer all of those questions, guys. Obviously, if we crack 453.70 here and start pushing higher and higher, closer to our most 52-week recent highs, then it gets very tough for the bears to reverse that in 1 clean shot and change up the weekly time frame. So the bulls looking pretty healthy on the day here, if I do say so myself, but CPI Wednesday could shift things in a big way. So trading above our moving averages, I like to see it. We're going to let the bulls play this out, guys, but one thing's for sure, crucial level now at this point remains 443. Flush it to the downside, daily downtrend is underway, and we are due for further weekly consolidation. Still some good space here above 434 area, but that's just the technicals here. So we're going to give them some bit of space here so they can try and potentially retest these highs, maintain the daily uptrend. QQQ, same exact thing, right? So daily uptrend at this point is still underway. Bulls never losing it. We were just wondering how far down were they going to come back. A shallow-ish pullback with the moving averages was what we wanted, and the bulls have played good defense around that area as expected here. So 370 at this point, guys, now becomes the line in the sand level. Lose it and you set up the daily downtrend. You will set up further weekly consolidation here, good moving average support, and then we won't want to flush 355 if ever that does happen. But continue it and crack our most recent highs here, 380.5 pretty much, guys. Your daily uptrend simply continues as the bulls have never lost it here, and we will start taking back more and more of this weekly move to the upside. Weekly uptrend was never lost. I'll remind you, we were always looking for the weekly higher low right here, and then the further push to the upside remained to be seen. How high can bulls take back from this move? So until the daily uptrend is broken to the downside by the bears, your weekly moves up continue. So some very, very good performance on the day. But once again, guys, this was pretty much led by a few big tech names really catapulting this to the upside here. Some news, company specific news here, more specifically on Tesla, was probably the major contributor there. Now, XLF financials. XLF putting in a somewhat decent day here, mixed day. They did gap higher on the open here this morning, but proceeded to kind of give it all back and kind of trade really within the middle of our daily candle here. So, you know, not an amazing day, not a bad day, but still up 0.5% pretty much, continuing our move to the upside, guys. Now, the crucial level remains $34 is going to be your daily higher low. Flush this, you'll lose the daily uptrend, same as SPY and QQQ. We are just looking for the continuation. At this point, we're going to need to see a break of 34.80 to really get this daily uptrend into its second leg up and really start moving this weekly uptrend further higher, right? So it is a weekly uptrend. The weekly higher low is right down here, right, at 33.60. So those are the levels to watch out for. I need to see the bulls push as close as possible here up into our higher $35 range. But for now, bulls doing a great job here, getting back above our moving averages. We will see if this can continue here into the later part of the week. But pretty big week, guys, with CPI and everything. So curious to see how the bulls are going to play with this. XLV Healthcare. Beautiful day on healthcare in terms of recovery, if I do say so myself, guys. We were pretty much flirting with disaster, right? This whole range right here that we were looking at, right? Very clear range channel. So I was saying, guys, that if we were to lose pretty much Wednesday's low here, 130.89, it would get very rough because you'd start pulling back into these lower areas, guys, and really start losing some of your higher time frames. I'll remind you, higher time frame support on the weekly is still 129. So the more of this that we would have lost pulling towards 129, it gets really hard here for the bulls to simply V-shape this, right? So the weekly uptrend at this point is lost, not by much. So the bulls have a bit of work to do here. But on the monthly, this is pretty much a monthly bull flag, right? Monthly tightening range. The bulls have set in some higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, looking for the higher low for the continuation on the monthly here. So I needed to see them play defense in this whole zone right here. They responded beautifully here to our 200-day moving average, which is that green line right there, pushing higher now at this point. But bulls on the shorter time frames, a lot of work to do, guys, to reset the daily uptrend. So I will need to see the bulls put in as much as work as possible into this most recent bull move down here to really give me the confidence here that we are really looking to set the weekly lower lows here, and then give the bulls a shot here to push as close as possible back into our 135, 136 range, really start changing these lower time frames in their favor here, as the bears have controlled this pretty much since, you know, midway through July, essentially, right? Not being able to really crack above this range. The bears had a turn here. So we'll see if the bulls have built up enough accumulation in this area to really take us higher and really get us some breathing room. So decent day on healthcare. IWM Russell still trailing behind, right? Still trailing behind. Not too nervous though, as long as SPY, QQQ, XLF, and XLV put in some good days here. The Russell is kind of just a bonus. If it happens, perfect, but the market doesn't necessarily need them, right? So small caps, I'll remind you, they really represent a small weight in the entire grand scheme of the whole market. Yes, there's more names in here, but all of these names combined don't even make up roughly like 10% of QQQ names, right? In terms of market cap alone. So just a quick reminder on that, right? So what are we looking for here, guys? Still looking out for the daily higher low. Anything pretty much above 181.71 was for that here. So we're going to see if the bulls can put in a few nice days here, create some space, and potentially start creating a tightening range here, accumulation zone, and then potentially pop here. It's going to be very tough for them to V-shape this entirely based off of how much bears have put in from this recent bull move, right? If the broad market just completely rips this week, only then will IWM be able to do it. But if we just keep grinding higher here, guys, it's going to be tough for IWM to really V-shape this, right? So just keep that in mind. Financials will need to heavily participate for this rally as well, because we know that in IWM, there's about, I think it's about 18, 19% of the entire weight of the Russell is in pretty much mid to small cap banks. So just keep that in mind, guys. Still looking to save this weekly uptrend, right? So if we flush this 181.64 area becomes a weekly downtrend. So I really need to see the bulls, guys, start pushing up higher, give themselves as much space as possible for either a daily trend change or accumulation, and then potentially pop, right? So we're going to keep an eye closely on the Russell, but Russell still one of our indexes here, guys, that is still very decently off the all-time highs here, guys, 25% almost. I'll remind you, my sweet spot, if we start pulling down in the 180 area, that is when I will start writing puts on the entire index. Dow Jones with a decent little day of recovery here. Once again, pushing above our 34,500, 600 area of support, right? So using it as resistance, now pushing above it and now slightly above our 12 EMA. So bulls doing a good job here on playing defense. We are still looking to reverse this daily downtrend, right? So daily downtrend, the bulls put in a move, put in the higher low compared to this low right here, right? Put in the higher low. Now we need to see them crack 35,000, right? A crack of 35,000 will give me some good confidence, guys, that the bulls are really able to save this weekly uptrend and start pushing higher towards our pretty much 52-week highs here around 35,700 here. Value names looking fairly decently. I did pick up a few value names today. Actually, just one, which I've mentioned on the channel a couple of times. It's kind of in a tough section between value and growth here, but I really like this company. I'll show you guys at the end on the portfolio update. So weekly uptrend, looking to save this, guys, looking good, but just grinding currently, right? No real explosive moves to the upside. Need to see them start cracking this 35,000 area. It'll give me a lot more confidence in the bulls' ability to do this. Obviously, levels to the downside here, 34,300. If the bears break to the downside, that is a daily downtrend continuation at this point, right? It'll be a new daily downtrend into further weekly consolidation here, and then you'll really look out to this 34,000 level as a line in the sand, because if the bears crack 34,000, it's a weekly downtrend. You then have to look up to the monthly, and then on the monthly, pretty much anything above 31,300, right, is just for your monthly higher low. So tons of space on the higher time frames, but bulls need to put in a bit more work here on the lower time frames. Bitcoin doing absolutely nothing, so we're just going to skip over it, kind of trending below our current area of support, getting very, very close to our 24,700 area, guys. Flush this and you lose the monthly. You will successfully lose the monthly uptrend. The bulls have put in so much work pretty much since last January, right, to really uphold here. So crypto really out of favor, guys. Unless this sector gets some really big news from the SEC, you're not going to see things move. Now let's get into big tech. Apple with a decent little day of recovery here. Not so much explosive moves to the upside like Microsoft, Amazon, or Tesla today, but still a decent day, guys. Any day where Apple doesn't really flush into this area is a good day. So I'll remind you, after these 2 days of negative news, the bulls have to start from scratch. Daily uptrend was lost because they flushed this low. They lost the daily uptrend. So now the bulls have to start from scratch, create enough space in relation to this move, create enough space to set up for a new daily trend change. And what are they also trying to save? Trying to save the weekly downtrend, guys. If we flush below 172 at this point, it is a weekly confirmed downtrend for further monthly consolidation. Apple looking very healthy on the longer term timeframes. It's just unfortunate that we have to start the lower timeframes from scratch here. I'll remind you, my sweet spot on Apple between 175 and pretty much your 168 area. So I did open a position on Apple today. I'll show it at the end of the video here. From very good opportunities to pick up some Apple shares, in my opinion, in relation to what they're about to deliver. And the iPhone, the new iPhone reveal comes later this week or next week, if I'm not mistaken. So going to be very curious to see what they have going for that, especially since Apple deliveries have been quite high. And usually people are quite positively receptive to new iPhone releases, even though, guys, I know they don't change much on the product, but that is not the focus of Apple. The focus of Apple is keeping you within their ecosystem. That's why they have everything. They have the Apple credit card. They have Apple buy now, pay later, right? They have Apple savings accounts where you can now get up to 5%. Risk-free just by keeping your money in there. They have cloud storage, they have music, they have Apple TV, right? So it's an entire ecosystem that once you're inside the ecosystem, it's very tough to leave. Warren Buffett has already said this on an interview about 3-4 months ago, and it was a beautiful line. This was brought up previously by another very large investor. I forget who it was, but they gave the analogy for YouTube or Apple, right? So if I were to tell you guys right now, if I gave you $10,000 to never use YouTube again, I'll give you $10,000 now, but you can never go on YouTube ever again for the rest of your life. Would you take it? It's a very tough choice, right? Now, same thing for an iPhone. If I gave you $10,000 today, would you go out right? Would you be able to take $10,000 and never use any Apple products ever again for the rest of your life as you've been previously using them, right? It's a very tough choice to make. And that's why when you know that a company has you locked in their ecosystem, it's very different for cars, right? If I gave you $50,000 and said you could never drive a Mercedes, you'd say, fine, I can go buy a BMW, I can go buy a Porsche, I can go buy anything else, right? A Lexus. So it's not the same thing, right? These brands have a real big hold sentimentally and emotionally and in terms of use during the day for most people, right? So Apple recovering beautifully, all that to say, need to set up nicely for the future trend change here. All right, so just keep an eye on that on Apple. But as of now, guys, you know, unless we really flush the 172, there's really no red flags. If they flush this 173.50 right here, guys, they set up the daily downtrend here, but then we still have one of our last lines of defense. And I'll remind you, this support area, this green space right here, it's a very big support area, previous all-time highs that they struggled with, you know, from December 21 all the way through August 22, right? So pretty much almost a year's worth of support here. Not going to be easy for the bears to flush this, especially if the greater markets aren't that bad. AMD here, very decent day on AMD, pulling back, but not pulling back too much, still within my sweet spot. I say decent, even though we're red on the day. It was a decent opportunity to write some puts, which I did, as a matter of fact, so new position on AMD. So AMD, what are we still looking for? Looking to set up the daily trend change here, guys. Anything above 99.60, still looking for your daily higher low. Currently below our 107 area, this whole area of support, below our moving averages here, but bulls keeping it alive, right? Semiconductors as a whole didn't have a great day today, but it's nice to see that AMD from pretty much from the open, right? Look, this was a very big move, right, guys? 4.12%, right? And then they were able to recapture a lot of this, almost 2.5%, and only ended 0.73 negative in relation to Friday's trading, which is right here, right? So decent day on AMD, bulls playing some good defense, buying the dips here, but eventually we'll need to see a break of our 112 area to really cement this daily uptrend in motion and start the slow process of reversing this weekly downtrend, right? So weekly downtrend is confirmed. We got the lower high, right? Lower high here. Now the bulls are trying their best to reverse this into a weekly uptrend and chart pushing higher towards the top end of our range here around the 120 area. So keep an eye on that. Out for Amazon. I'll remind you, very close to my sweet spot. Amazon still roughly 30% from all-time highs. Amazon, monster day on Amazon, 3.52% to the upside here, challenging our previous 52-week highs. Not quite getting there. Previous all-time highs, 143.63. Almost got here today. What do we get to? 143.62. 1 penny away, right? So very, very, very close to it, guys. Amazon, really, really nice recovery here. If we do blast beyond this point, your next resistance stays put at 146, and then we are all the way up to pretty much our 170 area here, guys. But you'll see on this chart here, guys, this whole area right here, excuse me, is what we are currently battling with right now, right? So this entire little range right here is what we've been battling with for the past roughly 2-3 weeks, right? So you can see how these areas continue to play out later down in time, but Amazon doing an amazing job here, right? Absolutely crushing this into a daily uptrend confirmed at this point, right? So anything at this point, any pullback above 133.44 is just going to be an opportunity to set a daily lower high for future continuation. Beautiful confluence down here. We have the moving averages down here. We have the previous support area down here. Going to be very tough for the bears to pull it through there at this point, guys. So on the weekly uptrend continues, right? Almost cracking it, guys. If we have another green day tomorrow, your weekly uptrend will just be confirmed as having resumed at this point, right? 4, 5, 6 weeks in the making, really, to set this weekly higher low and then push the higher high, right? So looking great on Amazon, no red flags whatsoever, tons of space, but since our most recent higher lows here. So great job on Amazon bulls. Now let's move down to Google. So Google also pushing, grinding, right? Not pushing like Amazon or Tesla, right? Just grinding higher, trying to maintain this daily uptrend. So daily uptrend in motion. Got the higher low. Now we're moving for the higher high. So anything above 133.92, right, is just going to be for daily higher lows for potential future continuation whenever this move does top out. I wouldn't be surprised, guys, to get another green day tomorrow or Wednesday with CPI. Google is also just going to push through these 52-week highs and continue their uptrend here. Weekly resistance, guys, is now put at the 145 area, this little circle right here, right? And then beyond that, it's the all-time highs, guys. So weekly uptrend is absolutely beautiful, creating a lot of space here, guys. Anything above 128 on any pullback is just going to be for a weekly higher low for further continuation. This trend is an absolute monster. It looks exactly like Meta did before we started consolidating here. So beautiful day on Google, no real red flags whatsoever. Even if we do lose this and set the daily downtrend perhaps, right? Tons of space on the weekly, guys, to set the higher low for future upswing here. And then your 133 is going to act pretty much as beautiful support as well, right? So great job here on Google. Now, Meta, finally, what was I saying on Friday and Thursday? I need to see a push above Thursday's high. That's exactly what we got today. Daily uptrend continuing in a beautiful way now. Meta finally able to create enough space here with today's move here, guys. So still, levels don't change. Anything above 277, when this move tops out, anything above 277 is going to be for your daily higher low for further continuation. We have the moving averages as support. We have our previous level right here, right? Our 288-ish line that's acted as resistance and support a few times. So keep that in mind here, guys. On the weekly, looking fairly good on Meta on the weekly now. If we can continue this weekly push, Meta bulls just continue to grind higher, never truly losing this 12 EMA in a big fashion. This yellow line right here, right? Never quite losing it all the way since pretty much January, right? So great job by the bulls. Bulls are now starting to really push more and more into this move. This was the one thing that I wasn't satisfied with Meta in relation to other stocks in tech and the markets. They hadn't taken back as much of this move out. Well, apparently they watched the video here because now they're doing just that here, guys. So previous resistance on Meta pretty much stays put at your 318 all the way up to around 327 area, this whole little pocket here. So we'll see how much of this move can they claw back on the weekly, right? Weekly uptrend was never in jeopardy. It's just, were they going to be able to V-shape this or two-step it? So we'll see what happens. Now, Microsoft doing the same thing. Microsoft finally, just like Meta, breaking further above, right? So a little bit of consolidation here over the past 5, 6, 7 days, right? But now finally pushing through, guys, finally closing decently above our 333 level that was really causing us some problems here. So daily uptrend does continue at this point, right? We never lost the series of higher highs. Market never put in lows on any one of these candles, right? We were always either inside previous day or slightly higher, right? So previous low stays set 319. Anything above 319 just stays put for a daily higher low for further daily uptrend continuation. Bulls in full control above our 12 and 26 EMA. You can see the moving average cross right here. So Microsoft looking fairly healthy, finally able to get it done. And just like Meta, we will see how much of this weekly move can we get. The whole time that this maintains in a daily uptrend is going to be time for the Microsoft bulls to really take as much of this back as the weekly. If Microsoft gets all the way up to 350 on this one weekly upswing here, guys, good chance that they're either going to V-shape this or at least be able to two-step this since they've created a lot of space. The weekly was never lost as well. Weekly higher low was all the way down here, 276. So this was always for a weekly higher low, anything above 311. Even if we do pull back, guys, decent amount of space now created to set up for the weekly trend change if ever we reverse right here, right now for the next few weeks. All right, so keep that in mind. NVIDIA also not that bad of a day in relation to how it started. So look at this candle on semiconductors really today just got hammered, right? From the open pre-market, right? Down almost 4%, just like AMD, recovering ever so slightly. But since Friday did close a bit lower than our pre-market open here, well, that's why the percentages don't line up exactly, ending just over 1% down. But 350, guys, you remember how I was saying the 350 close is crucial? They flushed it with a stop hunt, and then the bulls able to close above 450, even in the after hours, flirting with it here. 450 is absolutely crucial, guys. If we close below 450, your bulls will have lost the daily uptrend. They will have to start from scratch, set a new daily uptrend. But on the grand scheme of things, this is just your weekly pullback happening. Anything above 404, just a weekly higher low. Bulls still with a decent amount of space, and the 12 EMA right down here. So not too nervous on the weekly, but the daily, bulls definitely need to start putting in some work to the upside here. Need to start seeing them pushing. One thing's for sure, guys. Either we're going to crack 503, the new all-time highs are going to continue here. But if we lose this daily uptrend, then it just will be weekly consolidation until the bulls are able to recapture this and set a new daily uptrend. Potentially keep an eye. 404 going to be crucial if we do flush this terrible line, this 450 area, right? So keep that in mind on NVIDIA, but not looking too bad in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. Now, Tesla. Will I ever be able to time this right with my puts and calls? We will see. Stay tuned, but at least could have been a lot worse, could have been better. Fairly neutral for now. But Tesla finally getting the recognition that we wanted for the past years at this point, right? I don't know why there's a big black screen, big black line on my screen, guys. Let me refresh this. Oh, it's still here. Is that here on everything? Oh my, what happened? Did we lose some pixels here? I think it's just my video software here. Let me restart that for you guys. All right, so we fixed it. So Tesla shares soared 10% after Morgan Stanley upgrade here, guys. Why did they get an upgrade? Well, they finally realized what a lot of us have been saying for a long time. Morgan Stanley analysts argued that Tesla should be viewed as a tech company as much as an electric car maker, right? So this has been the year-old debate, right? What is it? Is it a tech company? Is it a car maker? Is it both? Do they manufacture waffle makers? Who knows? They sell tequila. They sell a number of different things, but Tesla finally getting the recognition that it deserves here. So Morgan Stanley have a 3-year price target on them here, right? $400 up from the previous price target of $250 as of Monday, emphasizing the potential of Tesla's Dojo supercomputer and custom silicon. Morgan Stanley believes Dojo could theoretically add up to $500 billion to the company's long-term value. So this has been something, guys, this is not new news. Dojo supercomputer has always been one of Tesla's X factors, right? And Elon Musk has been saying it in the conferences, just as it says here, guys, not only in the most recent quarter, but Elon has been saying this for years, that as they continue to advance on FSD and continue to expand their self-service charging network across the world, essentially, that AI and their Dojo supercomputer is going to be a central part of that whole expansionary phase, right? So what they're doing here is the reason for the upgrade here. Look, highly bullish Tesla analyst Adam Jones wrote on his note Monday, although Dojo is still in its early development, I mean, they've been working on it for 5-6 years, guys, we believe that its applications long-term can extend beyond the auto industry, potentially for robotics royalties and other applications, right? So they are at the forefront of AI, but those in the know, we have known this for years. Dojo is designed to process visual data, which can lay the foundation for vision-based AI models, such as robotics, healthcare, and security. In our view, once Tesla makes headway on autonomy and software, third-party Dojo services can offer investors the next leg of Tesla's growth story, right? So they expect Tesla to be able to generate over $2,000 in recurring revenue every month from its vehicle owners in 2030 from services enabled by Dojo and subscription software in cars like self-driving systems, which Tesla does not offer today. So all that to say, guys, is that essentially they are saying that Tesla will potentially be able to license not only to its customers, but potentially to other auto manufacturers or other businesses as a whole, they will be able to license their AI software that they've been working very, very hard on because it's very, very powerful stuff, guys. It can be used in a number of different applications, not only cars, right? So that pretty much was the reason for the massive increase on price today, right? Institutional ownership in Tesla has always been relatively low, but potentially with this Morgan Stanley upgrade here, it might just push some of the institutions here to start loading up on Tesla like they had in the past back in 2020 and 2021. But institutions have been notoriously underinvested in Tesla because they have been unable to see past the car manufacturer status, and because of the high PE ratio that Tesla has often ran in being a car company relative to the industry. So hopefully this new emphasis on tech, which has finally been led by an analyst at Morgan Stanley, can push other institutions to start upping their valuations and price targets for Tesla because of their potential to generate recurring subscription revenue from their customers, which no other auto manufacturer has been able to do in a significant fashion. So very pleased on that in the news. In terms of the daily uptrend, guys, daily uptrend absolutely smashed. If you ask me, without this news, this range could have broken either way, right? Market dependent, this range could have broken either way here. It is a shame that obviously I closed my position last Friday, right? This always happens, guys. You can never time the market perfectly. You can just go with all the relative information that you have at a time and make the best educated decision as you can. I'm fairly happy because I was able to close the put positions that I wrote on Friday, right? The sold put positions. I was able to capture 95% of that profit right off today and even come up a bit higher into the 260 area. Now that we've smashed this whole area, it's going to, you see, I've labeled this 257.50 area, this yellow line, very big area of support. So now, guys, anything above 243, any pullback is for a daily higher low. Daily uptrend obviously continuing beautifully here. Any pullback into this area is going to be for a daily higher low. for future continuation at this point. Tesla on the weekly, still not done. What I really love on the weekly, guys, at this point on Tesla is since they never really pulled back here, we have now grabbed back over 618. We're moving into the 70% territory of recapturing this bear move down, guys. So Tesla will be able to either, if it's Tesla, right? So they can always V-shape this, or at the very worst, potentially two-step this into a new weekly uptrend here. So looking forward on Tesla, and on the monthly, watch out, guys. Watch out, right? Monthly high or low, in my opinion, 212 is set here for potential monthly continuation here. Q3, Q4, known as Tesla's best quarters. So we will see how Tesla performs. Now your resistance breaking through everything. 260 and 270 at this point. Resistance will stay put. Your previous 52-week highs. 300 psychological, still with a bit of earnings gap here to be filled here. So we will see how Tesla will perform on the week here. Did also write some covered calls in one of my long-term accounts at the $280 range, only on 100 shares though. As I've explained, I have over 350 shares in the long-term portfolio as well. So we wrote some covered calls in case this move is temporary. We do have CPI in case it just kind of flutters around and does nothing for the rest of the week. Well, we'll be happy in that, kind of exactly what it did back here, right? So very, very good day on Tesla. Only little thing here, guys, is obviously your short-term time frames are slightly overbought here with this news, only pretty much on the 1 hour. So if we do pull back here, guys, ever so slightly, just a reminder that we're completely safe. Anything above 243, just going to be daily higher low. Beautiful move on Tesla. Palantir finally putting in some legs. So now your new daily higher low, 1432 here, 1432, the level to watch here. I need to see the bulls push above 1640 if we really want to see this daily uptrend continue, right? It was getting kind of messy down here, right? The bulls set the higher low in relation to our previous 1396. So they set it and now we're running with it. Can we smash 1640 or will we be trapped in a perpetual little range here? One thing I need to see, guys, I need to see them crack 1640. I need to start to see them doing what Meta and Microsoft has started doing. Take back more of this weekly move, guys, okay? So that's what I want to see soon on Palantir. We'll see in the next few days if they can do it. Obviously, if you flush 1438 here, it will be a daily confirmed downtrend here. And then you really look again to your 1363 line in the sand level on the weekly here. So those are the two levels I'm looking out for on Palantir. Sweet spot for me, $13 to $12. That doesn't change. Resistance, this guy first, and then we'll tackle the rest. PayPal here. PayPal also setting in here somewhat of a higher low here. So $60 with the area to watch. You can now see that we're above. We just set it, guys, with the low on Friday, right? 60.31. Not a lot of room to work with. So now I need to see PayPal really come above here, smash our 64 previous high here at this point. So daily uptrend remains, but the bears have taken back a lot of this move, guys, right? So could we end up in a daily downtrend? Well, we will see. 60 break of 60.32 at this point will do it, daily downtrend, and it will just be continued weekly consolidation here, guys, right? But on the weekly, still a bunch of space. Anything above 57.53 can just be weekly consolidation for future move up. Similar to what happened over here, you can see they got a bit higher on the push, but they did consolidate for a few weeks before that next leg of weekly move up happened. So going to take this one day at a time on PayPal here, but PayPal obviously still representing some amazing value even at these prices. Now need to see them smash 64, maintain this daily uptrend, pull up into my 65, 66 area. So on the weekly, it really starts to look a bit more powerful here, okay? So that's pretty much it for your markets today. And now let's look at my portfolio quickly, new trades. So portfolio performance on the day, up back almost to 40% here as we do stay above the NASDAQ here, about 32% here. So some decent performance. And on the S&P 500 here, still up about 16%. We're almost up at 39 pretty much, right? So still some decent performance, outperformance on the indexes here as a whole. And in terms of the positions, guys, you will see here that we're still in a few trades. We're still in the GMs that we wrote pretty much last Friday. 32 fives if assigned. We have a cost basis of $31.98. I'll show you where GM was trading today, right? GM trading a bit down, 32.62. So we'll see if we can maintain this big area of support that we've created here pretty much over the past year, or if the bears are going to be able to flush. I think that it will probably have a good chance of holding up, right? And we wrote the Apple 175s, 4.96 cents here. You can see that right here, right? Already in the money, already making money on those, down to 74 cents, right? So Apple 175s. Why? it is directly in my sweet spot, right? So a little sweet spot trade here, right? 175. We'll see if Apple can maintain above 175 for the week. AMD 99s, you can see wrote them for 47 cents. Didn't get close to the bottom. Wanted to see how low we would potentially go here. Market was looking good. So I figured, why not? This is a 0.5% trade, right? All of these 0.5% trades. Apple, right? Over half of 175. Half of 175 would be roughly like, let's call it 87 cents, right? And AMD, right? Almost very, very good here. Almost 0.5%, right? Not quite 0.5%. 0.5% would have been 50 cents, but we got 47 down to 24. So already up 50% on those AMD 99s. Why? Because it's once again in my green little sweet spot down here. So was able to capitalize on that. We'll see how it closes by the end of the week. Baba 86s on deck again, 0.5%, right? 0.5% would have been 43 cents. We got 44. So very good on that. Slightly down on those as it stands here, but Baba currently trading in the $88 range. Baba sweet spot area for me, guys, is pretty much this mid to lower 80 area. So I'm very happy. If you remember, I was playing these back in the $90 area a couple weeks ago. So we are doing pretty good here. If we do get a sign on Baba, I really don't mind here, guys. I do think that this thing is poised to potentially grind higher, even despite our negative China news. Baba has really been able to do extreme good job at cost cutting here. I really enjoyed their last earnings. It leads me to believe that the next few quarters for the company, especially Q3 and Q4, is known to be these e-commerce guys. This is going to be their best quarters, right? So have no fear on Baba from me. The CSI Q25s, they're down to 7 cents from writing them on 20. On Friday here, you can see CSIQ pulling up ever so slightly, 0.38%, but a bit away now off of our $25 mark. So with that most recent 20 cents here, our break even is now down to 30 to 31.99, right? So I have to move this line down ever so slightly, about 10 cents. Let's do that right away. So 31.99. So that is our new break even, this green line right here. We'll see if we can get some move higher into that area. But for now, still chilling on these 200 shares down here. You can see Harley Davidson expired worthless. And these Tesla puts, right, you can see that now we have no position on them whatsoever. We did close them today. So I'll remind you, we did write them last Friday, right? Wrote them last Friday, the 240 for $2.90. And the 235 for 174. You can see them, they're closed as of this morning right here. We closed the 240s right here, right, for 23 cents. Very good, from 289, guys. And then the 235s closed them from 179, 180, 14 cents here. So pocketed almost all of the premium. And what did I do? I wrote the 260s, just one in case we do get a pullback over the next few days after such a massive day on today. So wrote the 260s here for $1.79. It brings my loss on Tesla down to now around 600 and something dollars rather than 808. It brings it down to about 640. So we're down now only about $3.20 a share on 200 shares. We will continue to do Teslas until we are profitable over the last month's trading on Teslas. I hope to be potentially assigned some Tesla shares because I really do want to ride them up in the trading account here. But as I'll show you guys, I do have Tesla shares otherwhere. So you can see the Tesla covered calls are on here. The 280s are on for this Friday. Got $2.75 on them. So we'll see if I do get called away on those shares. I wouldn't mind. I could also roll the position potentially. But as I said, I do have about 350 shares of Tesla elsewhere. And the other position that I bought today, guys, you can see it right here. LVMUI, 15 shares at 159.88. That's around $2,500 worth of shares pretty much, right? Or $2,100 worth of shares. LVMUI, what is it? What is it, guys? You should know this ticker by now. Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton pulling into my sweet spot area here. Why? Previous all-time highs. Been using this area as support for quite some time now. This company needs no introduction. Amazing value. Currently only trading at 23 times earnings here. This is a conglomerate. Their revenue is absolutely ridiculous. Margins are very, very good for the type of businesses that they do run. Very big conglomerate. In a recession, I'll remind you, rich people don't lose money and they don't stop spending money either. I was looking forward to a discount on Louis Vuitton. My first position I ever started was in the 136 area, all the way back here, 136, 137. And now I'm happy that I can start adding a bit more shares, guys. So if this is something that you also like in terms of a company, I would suggest potentially looking into it, guys, because this chart is a monster. One of my favorite stocks in the entire market. And we've always just been looking for the monthly higher low. All right. So keep that in mind, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video here. Once again, it was Will. If you liked it, consider liking the video. If you're new here, I would love if you subscribe to the channel. Would love to have you here, guys. And as always, if you have any questions, please send them to me in the comments. I'll be glad to answer, guys. Always get back to you guys within a few hours to pretty much 24 hours here. Anything, analysis, stocks, options, macro, whatever you guys like, I'm here to answer you. Always happy to share my point of view. So hope you guys had a great day today. Once again, we will check in tomorrow after the close here. Fairly decent day to start off the week here, but CPI on Wednesday, let's not forget, right? Could tilt the scales either way. So we'll see what happens. I'll take care, guys. Have a great night and peace.